Welcome to Last Night, your official sci-fi recap show. What a scary weekend for fantasy fans. The fate of Snow White's soul is in danger, the murderous Ortiz comes oh so close to killing Jake on touch, and The Walking Dead has one of its creepiest endings yet. I'm joined once more by famed interstellar explorer, Captain Jack Thorson. Welcome back, Captain.
Thank you, Liv.
This weekend has seen some serious terrorizing in sci-fi. I figure a man like you has dealt with plenty of terrorists before.
It's true, Liv, that space is a terrifying enough place on its own, so anyone on a spaceship, with a spanner in his hands, is a potential threat. Captains need to know how to handle every situation.
So how would you handle the governor from The Walking Dead?
It's easy to be an armchair general, as they say, but no one on The Walking Dead has the full story. Andrea finally learned the full story, and so did Milton on last night's show. The governor is a sick bastard who just wants to destroy anyone who gets in his way. The obvious answer is to take him alive and put him on trial.
But why can't they just kill him and remove him from the picture entirely?
Do you know the difference, Liv, between a terrorist and a general? Terrorists terrorize. But the people of Woodbury don't see a terrorist when they see the governor. Milton was right when he said that Martinez would simply take up the fight, and the governor would simply become more of a hero than he was.
But how do you put a man like that on trial? Is there even any evidence they can present at this point?
Milton could do it. Of course, at this point, it depends entirely on whether Milton lives long enough to do it.
Good point. Let's talk for a bit about the show more people need to be talking about. The show Touch, on Fox Friday nights. If you're the type of viewer who was disappointed that ABC's drama 0 Hour didn't materialize into the type of worldwide mystery conspiracy drama it could have, then Touch is probably what you should have been watching all along. Kiefer Sutherland plays a widower whose son is one of 36 special people who can see the past and the future through numbers and symbols. There isn't quite as much globetrotting as there was in 0 Hour, but the smaller scale certainly works for this show.
I'm always excited to see Kiefer Sutherland on the screen, and the latest episode of Touch brought back a bit of his Jack Bauer side.
We saw plenty of that in the episode before, when Maria Bello tortured Lucas Hawes to find out where her daughter was.
Yeah, she's just not as good at getting information as Jack was.
Of course, the real terrorist on the show is Guillermo Ortiz, a priest-turned-murderer who seeks to eliminate the 36. In a bit of a twist, we learned last Friday that Ortiz is himself one of the 36, so it's not very clear what he hopes to accomplish.
I think it's pretty clear. Ortiz is what we call a well-intentioned extremist. He thinks the other 36 are either misusing their powers or not using them at all. Knowing as he does what it's like to hold that power, he thinks everyone else should do what he would do, and since they don't, they've turned their backs on God. He's delivering the Judas treatment, damning them to perdition.
Thoughts? An interesting theory.
It's why he was so angry at the priest who wouldn't absolve him, because he knew he was right, and he felt that other priests should agree with him.
So do you think he could be redeemed, if his intentions really are pure?
Oh, no, not at all. He's also what we call a thundering lunatic. Kiefer had the right idea when he shot him. It's just a shame he had that bulletproof vest.
It's an even greater shame that it has to be on at the same time as Grimm, so we can't watch both of them as they air.
Well, Touch shouldn't be on Friday night anyway. I'd definitely recommend moving it to a better night.
Indeed. But since we've now brought up Grimm, let's talk about one of their clunkiest episodes to date. Apparently the show made it past the halfway mark of the second season without ever telling us, or the main character, that something as important as the Council of Justice exists.
This is what happens when you start a TV show with too simple a premise. In the beginning, The Walking Dead decided to follow survivors through a post-zombie apocalypse landscape. Thought's a simple premise with a lot of possibilities, and they managed to make it work. But a show like Grimm, which tells us there's a hidden world of monsters and one man with a mythic heritage who can fight them. When you have a premise like that, you can't just treat it like any other cop show with monsters. You need to get the mythology written out early on, and the main points all need to be introduced to the hero in something other than accidental order. Buffy the Vampire Slayer had her watcher who was also her teacher. The Grimm has a guy who just sort of chooses to tell him stuff every now and then.
So you think the Grimm, aka Nick Burkhart, needs an official watcher?
I think what he needs, what the show needs, is to do what Buffy did, and admit there's no way this hidden world of theirs could, or should, stay hidden. If a council exists, and a codex, and royals, and their own personal policemen, then just tell the world. It would certainly mean fewer unsolved bank robberies and quadruple homicides.
So what do you think about the show Once Upon a Time then?
At least their hidden world doesn't exist inside of ours. It isn't Hogwarts, it's just another world.
What do you think about Snow White's heart starting to turn black?
I think it was exactly what she needed, as a character. I don't know if you've noticed, but there are no villains in Storybrooke, only people that we don't fully understand yet. We've seen the backstories of Rumple, Regina, and now Kara, 3 people who were easily recognized as villains in the land of fairy tales, who are now all seen as sympathetic in one way or another. Snow is now moving down the same path they all tread once upon a time, and I think everyone will be forced to acknowledge that. After all, they're all in the real world now, where so few people can be said to be true villains.
You have some good points. What would you say some of your favorite lines of the weekend were?
Definitely on Grimm, when Monroe called what Juliet and Sean were experiencing a pheromaniacal experience. Also in the diner on Once Upon a Time, when Emma asks Neil where Henry went. Neil thought Henry was in the bathroom and Emma hits him with the line, "The bathroom. Did you really fall for that? He's your son."
You don't have to be a parent to not fall for that. All you have to be is a former kid. Thank you for joining me again, Captain Thorson.
My pleasure, Liv, as always.
And thank all of you for watching last night.